How's it going, tiny little hot dog cuties? On this episode of Know Your Stuff, we're going to be looking at on how bacteria can potentially be the new hard drives of the future. And before we get started on today's video, I just want to throw out a shameless plug. I saw Black Panther yesterday, and it was legitimately one of my favorite movies, superhero movies of all time. Not trying to pressure you guys or anything, but you guys should totally see it. Now let's get down to the nitty-gritty details. What am I talking about? How can bacteria store data? Well, 2 years ago in 2016, researchers at Harvard University actually found a way to convert a GIF, you know, those tiny little moving images that we make memes out of, which are my favorite category of memes. They were able to input a GIF into the DNA of an E. coli bacteria, and the way they did it is phenomenal. And DNA, as you guys know, is made up of 4 different nucleotides. There's adenine, which is A, guanine, which is G, thymine, which is T, and cytosine, which is C. DNA is composed of only those 4 types of nucleotides, and it kind of is those repeated nucleotides over and over again that make up our entire DNA. And the way that we are different from animals and each other is that we have a different sequence of those A, T, G, Z's in our DNA. So how are they able to convert DNA and then put a GIF inside it? And if you look at it, DNA essentially is a way to store information in our cells. So if we were to break it down to the nitty-gritty detail, it's kind of like a language code for our cells, right? So don't technology have different languages like Python, SQL? I'm like really oversimplifying this, but the scientists essentially what they did is that they turned a GIF code into nucleotide-based pairs, so it's technically the same information but in a different language, and then they were able to insert it into the bacteria. And the way they inserted it into the bacteria is through this system called CRISPR. And if you guys don't know what CRISPR is the new revolutionary technique that we have harvested from bacteria themselves in the new 21st century. It's actually one of the greatest achievements that scientists have ever, not ever, but one of the greatest achievements that scientists have ever discovered. CRISPR is actually a technique that bacteria themselves have used for thousands and thousands of years to technically protect themselves. What they do is when there's an invader trying to attack them, they use CRISPR to basically chop up their DNA and they're fine. But lately, in the last couple of decades, scientists have discovered on how to do it themselves in the lab. So we can now use CRISPR just like bacteria, but instead of chopping up and killing cells and other things, we can chop up DNA and then put them back together and make new strands of DNA. And of course, if you're thinking about this, we can actually use this technology for many types of things. But for this specific thing, they were able to use CRISPR and input an information, such as the picture of a GIF, into nucleotide base pairs. And of course, I can't show you the image because then I will be infringing on the copyright of the creators or discoverers of this technique. So what I'm going to do is link to an article down below which actually got permission to show you the GIF that they converted and then how they reconverted it to see whether it worked or not, and it's actually phenomenal. You guys should definitely check out the link, but it's essentially crazy. We're putting information in bacteria. And then when I look at the big picture, what if one day we start actually converting information that we have in our computers, in our hard drives, into bacteria? Because think about it, bacteria, there's actually 5 million trillion estimated bacteria in the entire world. That's more than enough hard drives for every person in the entire universe. And if you even think about it in the big scale, bacteria are kind of renewable resources, unlike precious metals that we use to create our hard drives like copper and silver and all those things which have a limited capacity in our planet. But bacteria are constantly dividing, so we're always getting new bacteria. So it's completely renewable. And even though if this does not happen, this is incredibly cool that we're able to put literally information in bacteria. I mean, I think it's an incredibly cool idea to have a computer that's run completely on bacteria. That would be pretty freaking amazing. that's all I have for today. I hope you guys found this informational, entertaining. I hope you guys come back for my other videos. Be sure to like, subscribe, share this video, follow me on Instagram, and I love you guys. This is Ben.